Hello and welcome to Hello Yellow. This program is all about showcasing inspiring individuals, businesses and brands. And today, my first guest is the founder of the Melbourne Institute of Massage and Myotherapy. Please join me in welcoming Graeme Di Goldi to the program. Welcome, Graeme.
Thanks, Vivian.
You talked about obstacles being, growth opportunities. Do you have an example of where you may have, not gone down a particular pathway, but for, facing the adversity? Is there anything that you can draw on?
Well, I think COVID wasn't a good thing. And for those 2 years, we were like, because we're educators and we're teaching massage, hands-on, we're a school that was really face-to-face. So the adversity was that we were closed during all those lockdown periods. So we had to challenge ourselves to transform our business from face-to-face tactile learning to online learning. And that was a really big change for us because we just never focused our attention that way. We wanted to be face-to-face. We wanted to nurture and encourage a connection with our students and graduates. And that was sort of one of our hallmarks, was the connection that we had with past students and the like. So this was a step away. Like, how can you create that connection and study and offer an online course? And that was one of the biggest challenges that we had. I think we did it well.
So you now offer online courses?
Well, now we do.
Right.
I mean, that's
okay.
that.
Wow.
Now we've
Yep.
transitioned away from that face-to-face to offering online courses, more so all the health sciences. But what I really enjoyed, and it wasn't enjoyable, but what I enjoyed was we began nurturing our trainers and teaching our trainers how to use the green room and how to engage with students through an online platform, and that became quite good. So we've continued that momentum.
So commercially viable for you?
Yes, yeah, it was, and that come from the adversity of COVID, and I think anyone that was impacted by COVID from a business sense would probably look back and think, geez, what tough times, but have come out the other end and seen improvement or seen some form of stepping forward or new direction, or they've had that light bulb moment. Yeah.
And so what would you say to somebody who's maybe sitting in that place of desolation, if you like, and they don't have the ability to sort of rise above that, in a business sense I'm talking? What advice would you have for them to try and motivate them away from it?
Well, I think going back to the mentorship, I think talking is the best thing, and networking, because generally you're not the only one going through this. And I know that through my own experience, when we were closed, talking to other business people that I'd met along the journey, and their experiences nearly replicated mine. And it was a matter of just talking through and saying, well, look, this is what I did. And I must say, through the group of people that I was associated with, we've all sort of come through. Some people have even changed industries and love what they're doing now. So through that, I would say that networking, talking to people, and even if it's not in the industry, it's just having the opportunity to talk to people and reflect on their experiences, that you're able to capitalise and move forward.
Yeah, fantastic. So tell us, what's MIMT all about?
Well, MIMT is a registered training organisation, and we teach massage, remedial massage and myotherapy. And those industries are about connection with people, massage, or more clinical massage if you want to become a remedial therapist, and myotherapy, which is a booming industry.
Yeah, tell us a little bit. A lot of people wouldn't know what myotherapy actually is.
Well, myotherapy is a skill over and above remedial massage, where the practitioner would look at using evidence-based practice to enhance movement, including sort of educating their client, using exercise rehabilitation, and using some skills like what we call myofascial dry needling, so inserting needles into muscles that have some dysfunction, and also using cupping techniques. And you might see sports people at the Olympic Games that come out with those big
blotches.
welts all over them. Well, that's usually from cupping techniques. But myotherapy is a booming industry and deserves its place in allied health. Yeah.
And so you're obviously an expert in health and science. What do you think everybody should do that they're not doing? That in your expert opinion, what should people be doing with their bodies? I mean, other than moving them.
Other than moving, breathing's a good thing.
Is there a secret that you have that you feel like?
Look, I think, well, massage. Since COVID, like massage, that skill set of touch, it went out the door for 2 years. Touch is such an important thing.
For life.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's incredible. You look at nursing homes that were closed for 2 years, the people in there had no touch, no connection. I think there's a fantastic opportunity for massage in those areas, just embracing the elderly. But massage for me, I think the holistic side of massage is sometimes underrated, but also the therapeutic effects of just massage and touch is priceless.
So I love going and getting a massage because I feel it for relaxation, but is there a reason why people should be massaged other than for that sense of connection, and is there a health reason, really health benefit, obviously, to stimulate your blood and all of that?
All of that, but mostly it's the therapeutic effect of touch and relaxation and easing, the opportunity just to let it go. But from a clinical perspective, remedial massage and myotherapy is all about looking at muscles that are dysfunctional or have injury and working on them to increase range of movement. Now, sometimes people don't think of that as a way to treat an injury, but it is a fantastic way to increase range of motion without looking at other perhaps practitioners, physiotherapists, chiros, osteopaths. Remedial massage is there, but remedial massage therapists are trained to refer you if it's something that they can't deal with. So you can expect a good practitioner to look at it and say, yep, I can help you here, or no, it's out of my scope, I'll refer you to someone else.
And why should somebody think of coming to MIMT if they're looking for a change in career, or maybe they want to advance their own current skill set in this area? Why should they come to MIMT and study with you? Well, other than being devilishly handsome.
MIMT we're about connection and nurturing. So we want to make sure that when you leave the college that you're a practitioner that meets all the requirements to be really successful at it. So all our trainers are exceptional. They're practicing therapists. Many have travelled with Olympic teams. Many have worked with, Australian Tennis Open. But they work at really high levels. So those trainers can impart some really valuable information. Those little things that you think, oh, I must remember that. Or they have a great network of people to talk to. So we find our students really excel, and they do well because they've trained at MIMT. We've got a very good reputation. We do so much work outside of just your standard massage. We do a lot of work with the Children's Hospital. We do a lot of work with people at the Northern Hospital as well. We contribute back to the community in a big way. And as a matter of fact, our student clinic, which we have, which you can come along and get a 1 hour massage for $25. Can't get better than that.
That's wonderful.
And we contribute that money back to the Olivia Newton-John Cancer and Wellness Centre. And we've been a sponsor of them for 20 years.
Amazing.
So that's how we contribute back to the community. But a student can come and just spend a weekend and learn some basic massage, or they can come and commit to a course. They may be eligible for state and federal funding, so their course costs them a minimal amount. So we like to think that we're really committed to people, and that's one of my values. So, and that's what the school's about.
Brilliant. So if people want to find out more about you or MIMT, where can they head to?
Well, they could head to mimt.edu.au and they can find out all about our courses there. All the information you need is on our website, but you can give us a call, and Andrew, our career consultant, will talk to you and advise you what to do.
Today we have no better inspiration than my very good friend, ultramarathon swimmer, author, presenter, Susan Berg. Welcome to the program, Susan. It's so lovely to see you and have you here.
It's great to see you too, Viv. It's been a while.
It has. Now, Susan, you and I met after you came to one of my Christmas functions.
I did unexpectedly came to a Christmas function. You didn't know I was coming. It was
No.
You were very gracious to accept me in.
Well, you were a delightful gift because our mutual friend introduced us and told me that you had written a book, and then later sent me the book, which I devoured from cover to cover in the space of a day. And I just, I knew, I was so inspired and prompted to reach out to you to say it was one of the most amazing books that I've ever read.
Oh, thanks.
So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about it, and if you can start way back when, many years ago, and thank you so much in advance for being so open and honest and sharing your story.
Yeah, well, thank you. Really, the whole writing was not something that I had set out to do to actually publish a book. It was purely to get, my experiences in life and the trauma and, that I'd been through out onto paper where I could give it somewhere else to live, the pain somewhere else to live instead of just being inside of me. So it was a really healing experience for me. So the journey started when I was 15 and I was out in a boat with my parents and my brother out in Western Port Bay. And it was only the second time we'd taken the boat out. The first time it broke down and we had to get towed back to land. And my dad took it back to the boat builder and, demanded it be fixed. Boat builder came back and said it was in A1 condition. So it was the second time that we were taking it out. We left from Warneet and we were out in the water for, a good couple of hours, fishing, having fun.
And so for those people that don't know where that is, that's in Victoria, Australia, is that correct?
That's correct, yes. Warneet, or down that area of Western Port Bay, is, I guess, Phillip Island, over the other side of Port Phillip. So it was starting to get dark and Dad said it was time to head back to land, asked if I'd like to drive the boat.
As all good dads do.
And of course, as any child would do, I jumped at the opportunity, jumped into the driver's seat, put it on full bore, rocketing over the waves. and all of a sudden the acceleration cut. And, you know, Dad's saying, "Come on, Susan, got to get back to land, it's getting dark." And then my brother just turned around and yelled out, "There's water in the boat." And Bill got a bucket and he was trying to bail the water out while Mum's throwing life jackets at us. That we only had time to put them over our heads, that was it. But the boat basically went down in less than 30 seconds. Like, we're up to our knees in water. And Dad said, "Jump out, let's, you know, turn the boat over," so that we could then hang on to the hull. Yeah. So we hung onto the hull and we were tying up each other's life jackets. But by now the wind had picked up and it was washing us off the boat. So you'd kind of swim back, hold on again. Dad got into real difficulty at one time. He was wearing waders. I don't know if you...
so they're like big boots, are the big
they're
gum
like
boots?
The big gum boots with the all-green overalls that fishermen wear. And they'd filled up with water. And of course that meant it was dragging him down under the water, and, you know, he was desperately trying to get them off, which thankfully he did. And then it was dark, and so we decided the best thing to do was to swim towards land. And by now that was just a silhouette in the distance. But we left the boat, and not long after we let go of the boat, Dad started to have difficulty. So my brother went to go and help him, which Mum didn't want him to. She'd said to Bill, "No, just keep going." You know, she wanted him to be safe and to save himself. And Bill just said, "No, Dad needs my help." So he went over to help Dad, and I said to Mum to keep up with me, that, you know, we'd keep moving forward. But the more that time went by, I was just getting further and further ahead. And so eventually I said that I was going to go ahead for help.
And so talk to me, was it dark? Still light?
No.
Could you see? No, you couldn't see.
No,
anything.
by now it was dark. You know, it was 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. Like, I was swimming for several hours. After about, you know, Mum used to yell out to me every few minutes, and after about an hour I realised I hadn't heard from her for possibly an hour.
Wow.
And I yelled out and heard nothing, turned around, and it was just pitch black. You couldn't see anything.
So how do you know that and I'm assuming it wasn't warm?
No, it was really cold. 27th of October. So, you know, late October in Melbourne, it's cold in the water.
And so how did you know which direction to keep going? I mean, what was going through your mind at this point in time when you haven't heard from your mum for the last hour, and then before that, obviously you weren't sure what was going on with your dad and your brother. So what's going through your mind?
So I had no idea what had happened with any of them by this point, when I couldn't hear them anymore. And what was going through my mind was I had to keep going to get help. I kept swimming, and then after a while there were literally hundreds of birds that were circling me and screeching really loudly, and I was petrified because birds are generally asleep. You know, they've nested by the time sun sets, and I knew that there were sharks in the area.
Oh gosh.
So I was pretty sure that the birds were just waiting for the sharks to come and, you know, attack, and that they were going to pick up the pieces. So that was, you know, petrifying. You know, you're looking around, looking for fins, and then just knowing that there's nothing you could do. You just have to keep going.
And how old were you again?
I was 15.
So really, and your swimming capabilities?
I used to train each week, as did my brother, and my brother was actually so good that he had his own personal trainer, because they wanted to get him up to be, you know, competition standard. He was really good. So he was the strongest swimmer out of the whole family.
So you're thinking it's maybe about 9 o'clock and you're still swimming, worried about the sharks. Then what happens?
So I get to a point where the water is too shallow to swim. So I tried to walk, but I just sunk into mud, like up to my knees. So the only way forward then was to get onto my hands and knees and to crawl. And I would count, you know, each movement up to 100. And then when I got to 100, I turned around and sat with my back to the land, my legs outstretched, and I would push myself backwards, and I'd count to 100. Wow. So these two, you know, methods I rotated until eventually I thought it was land, but it was a sandbank. And I yelled out there to Mum and Dad and Bill that if they could get there to rest, I was going to go ahead for help. So then I was back to crawling off the sandbank.
And did you see land from the sandbank?
Yes.
So you weren't far then if you were...
A few hundred metres, I would estimate, by then. But what I'd expected of the land was totally different. So as I was getting closer and closer, it was mud again, but this time it was like quicksand. And I was literally sinking. I was up to, nearly my waist and being sucked down, grabbing onto shrubs and sticks and anything that was sticking up out of the water. It's that feeling that if you stop moving, you're just going to be swallowed. So I kept going, kept pushing through. Eventually it got to hard land, and then all of a sudden there was just like this white pathway, and it's like, do I go left, do I go right? Thankfully went right, and within a couple of kilometres I found a house.
So you were wet, cold. Did you have anything on your feet?
Covered
at
in
this
mud.
point? Yeah.
No, nothing on my feet, no. Skinned, because, skin from the rocks that I was crawling over. I was very lucky to find this house, because if I hadn't found this house, there wasn't another one for 30 kilometres after that. I thought I had arrived on the mainland. I thought when I had arrived that there'd be cars, houses, people, and instead it was French Island. So
for those people who don't know, French Island is quite unpopulated.
It is a very remote island. There's no electricity, no running water, no proper made roads. It is literally, most of it is just national park, and it's surrounded by mangroves. So I was lucky to have made it through. When I got to the house, I'm knocking on the door at 11 o'clock at night, and a retired doctor and his wife were living there, and it was obvious where I'd come from, covered in mud with a life jacket on. And Dr. Forbes checked that I was okay, and Mrs. Forbes put me in the shower, and I just hopped into the shower, and I just cried, just that thing of being under really warm running water and not knowing where Mum and Dad and Bill were, knowing that they would be cold because it was freezing out there, knowing they were cold but not knowing if they were okay.
It's remarkable, really remarkable.
That was tough. So a helicopter came and picked me up and took me over the bay to try and help me locate them. And we were searching for a while, and eventually the pilot said that I was required to go back to the police station and make a statement. I begged him not to take me. I still have this horrible... thought of them seeing the lights, thinking they were going to be rescued, waving up at the helicopter, and the helicopter turning around and just disappearing out of sight. And I still struggle a little bit with that.
I can only imagine what that must have been like and what it still is, now. So, there are no words. I just, obviously, there's been growth from you, and I think just for the audience members, your parents and your brother, were they ever recovered?
Yes, the following morning. So at 7 o'clock we were told that they'd found the body of my mother, and an hour and a half afterwards the body of my father, and half an hour after that, lastly, the body of my brother. So yeah, in that night it was like life changed forever.
Next week, Susan Berg talks about overcoming her greatest fears, and Wallace Murphy Munn shares her discovery of Masoga. You heard it right, Masoga.